With a Session Daily Update, I'm Chris Carpenter. House Speaker Lisa Damuth and other Republican leaders spoke to the media before Thursday's House floor session about some of the bills scheduled for floor discussion and other House-related issues. Here is coverage from the media briefing.
Koran tried to amend a bill related to private state cannabis compacts. The amendment would have put you on the negotiating team for the ongoing pending tribal compacts. That's something you'd like to do?
I haven't had a conversation with Representative Koran yet. I'm Senator Koran, thank you for the correction. I haven't had a chance to talk with him about it. Can you tell me the status of that bill in the Senate?
His amendment failed.
Then I probably won't have that conversation with him at this time.
Didn't have a chance to ask him why you got picked, but
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm glad he was thinking of me. That's a really good thing. Thanks for being here. We have a very heavy agenda tonight, this afternoon. I guess it's still afternoon. And we have a number of bills, and you'll see us walk through a number of bills, and the bill authors will be introducing those, and then Representative Niska is going to make a motion to lay them on the table. We won't have a full discussion on all of them. We do have two bills that are absolutely bipartisan that you'll see move forward. One is House File 24, and that is the providing life-saving care to an infant that is born alive. And the second is restoring funding for pregnancy centers, crisis pregnancy centers, and maternity homes. We would expect at least that House File 24 providing care if an infant is born alive would be bipartisan. So I would expect that you could see that one pass today. As far as the funding on the others, we've heard both ways that maybe not. But we didn't see the support for these bills like we expected in the committees, but I think as everyone in this chamber listens to what makes sense to Minnesotans, you'll probably see a little bit different vote.
So just to be clear, you're not, because some of the earlier bills, you've done a vote and then you've moved for reconsideration, I think. You're not going to do that on some of these today? You're not even going to do an initial vote to see if you can get to 68?
We will definitely, on a bulk of the first bills you'll see come up, will be laid over. Okay. But on the other two, we're going to go straight to a vote. And like I said, House File 24 should go ahead and pass. We've got the authors here. If you stay around, you'll hear from them as far as Representative Zalesnikar, Representative Knutson. They've done a phenomenal job. What would you like to add, Leader?
Well, both House File 24 and 25 are restoring things that have been in the law with bipartisan support in the past. And so, it would really be a tragedy if Democrats voted as a bloc against these things that have had bipartisan support in the past. I think that would also be an important thing for Minnesotans to know. But we're hopeful that at least one or a few Democrats will come along with and support these things that have had bipartisan support in the past, and we'll be able to pass them today.
But to be clear, you're only doing debate on those two.
On those two.
Okay.
Yes.
So you anticipate a debate. There's not like a procedural thing to block debate or anything.
Not on 24 or 25. No, we'll go to a full discussion, debate, and then a vote on those. Looking forward to next week. We hope you join us here in the House on Monday. It'll be another historic day in the House of Representatives. We will, with the results of the election on Tuesday, we will be swearing in a new member, a Democrat member, so we'll be back to a tie. All of our committees on Tuesday will start that organizational agreement of rotating gavels. It'll start on Tuesday. Most of the committees will have Democrat chairs holding the gavels on Tuesday, and then in each committee they will determine how the exchange of those gavels will work, exactly what works for them. The committees don't meet every day, so they're working that out. What we do know is there will be an equal number of committees chaired by both Republicans and Democrats as we go forward to the end of session.
Do you have to vote on, re-vote on that part of the resolution, or does it just automatically kick in, the power sharing resolution?
That automatically kicks in with the organizational agreement that we came to. It said if we return to a tie, and all of those pieces come in.
Okay.
Any plans to resume? I know you and Leader Hortman have been talking. Big Four, Big Five talks? Are you already getting a schedule for those? Meet with the governor, other people?
That's an interesting thing. Leader Hortman and I meet on a weekly basis. We did that over the last 2 years, and that's really important to the work that is being done here, just to know the ideas and the plans, and especially now that we're reinstating the co-chairs, that's going to be an important part of the discussion. Unfortunately, I still have not had an opportunity to hear from the governor to decide to hear if he is willing to have ongoing, regular scheduled meetings with myself, even with the 4 leaders. Deadlines are coming up. We know we have to take care of targets soon, but deadlines are going to be coming up, and unfortunately, his office hasn't been real responsive at this point.
So you have sought those meetings?
We have sought them almost 2 months ago and asked for just a regular rotating type of meeting, whatever would work better in his schedule, and that hasn't been offered yet.
I'm a little worried we might have to go to Iowa or Nebraska to meet with the governor. So we have work to do here, and it would be good if the governor were here meeting with Republicans to get that work done.
And obviously, you and Speaker Hortman, or you and Leader Hortman, are going to have to. You're going to come up with a joint target. You're not each going to have your targets, right? Or you
That's
or you don't
to be
know.
determined.
Oh, you
that
may
is
have
yeah.
2 different targets.
Yeah, eventually we'll get down to what we need,
when the
but
bill passes, you'll have a target.
exactly,
That you share.
exactly. But we're still debating how that would actually go, and the conversations are going very well. Whether we have joint targets right away, or if we kind of come out with party priorities or partisan priorities, but the work will go on. So.
What do you think it's going to look like? I mean, when each side has the gavel, are they going to bring their priorities, or is it going to? Are you going to start bringing bills that you think both sides could support to committee?
I think that's a really important question. With the rotating gavels, it does give the opportunity for each side to bring their priorities forward. But when it comes right down to it, there's an equal number of members on every committee. So in order to move something out, it's going to have to be bipartisan. But there will be an opportunity to kind of bring some of those priorities that might be sitting out there that haven't been heard.
You guys have gotten to do that. Sorry, Dana, you go ahead.
Do you expect any sort of change in tone now that it's going to be 67-67?
We have to work for Minnesotans. That's what they're expecting us to do. That's what we should be doing all along. And you will see maybe a little bit of settling into the new role. That's to be expected. But I think you'll see some good bipartisan work come out of this session. Minnesotans are looking forward to the work that can be done. They don't get involved in all of the happenings here on a daily basis. They just want to know that things are taken care of. We need to lower taxes. We can't increase taxes. We need to prioritize a number of the things that we're headed toward a deficit. We can't keep running our state into a further deficit. So wise decisions have to be made. That's what Minnesotans are counting on us to do. I still believe we can get that work done by May 19th. There's no reason, even with the 4-week delay in start, that we should go into a special session just because we're not working together. We can get that done earlier rather than later, but it will be done.
After today, you're going to end up with even more bills that were Republican priorities on the table. Do you have plans for bringing them up later, or are they going to be dead for the session?
They're not going to be dead. They stay alive until the end of 26, and so at any point in time, those bills could be brought up. Not all of them are just Republican priorities. There's some really good bills in there, and so this gives us the opportunity as people settle into that next new normal where we want to find some working together. We can bring those bills up at any point in time if we know we have at least 68 or more to pass them.
Speaker, the school boards were here earlier this week just on the topic of the budget, and one of the things they were asking for was more money to pay for the unemployment benefits for bus drivers, hourly workers, that was added in the last session. I think the governor has $30 million in his proposal. Are you guys open to backfilling that fund more, that money more? Do you want to repeal those benefits, the unemployment benefits for hourly school workers?
We know that the investments that have been made to schools over the last 2 years, there was a large infusion of money, but the mandates were not funded. And so unemployment insurance, the pending paid family medical leave, all of the mandates that have been put on our schools right now, we are hearing from superintendents across the state. We're looking at changes that will make things more affordable for our schools. Remember, only half of our kids can read at grade level. If we are just infusing money into different programs that aren't actually helping our kids learn to read and do math at grade level, we're failing our students in Minnesota. That's what you've seen over the last 2 years. That is something we have to change. Our education committee is looking at solutions all the way across the board. Local control, what works best within the schools, and building off what was done and potentially changing, amending, or repealing some of the most damaging things.
But are you open to giving them some more money money to help them through the period that was supposed to be funded if it's going to run out?
We are very much limited in our budget, so I won't commit to that at this point in time. We are limited. You know, we have a $6 billion deficit. Education is just one component of that budget we have to settle.
Thanks.
Going back to the bills on the floor today, you mentioned expecting bipartisan support. Why do you think that? Have you gotten assurances from Democrats?
We haven't gotten any assurances, but when you think of a child that's born alive, all we're asking is that medical care would be given if that child needs it. That's all we're asking. To me, that should be bipartisan. That's just a common sense, compassionate thing that Minnesotans would really support. That's why I would expect to see some bipartisan votes in there, but no assurances.
I forget the exact language when they repealed that statute, what they replaced it with, but I vaguely remember a debate about this on the PRO Act, basically Democrats saying that the language that we replaced it with is doing the exact same thing that the Born Alive Act would do. Can you comment on that? Why are they different, or how are they different than the previous statute and then the current language?
You know, the language is not the same. That's why we're having to bring this forward. If it was the same, we wouldn't have to even bring this forward. Right now, if a baby would be born, an infant, because of the result of an abortion, there is no care that would have to be given at all to that child. We're just saying, you know, leave the mom out of it. She doesn't have to be responsible for it, but medical professionals should be able to just give that basic human care to a baby that might survive. Very simple. You'll hear from Representative Knudsen on the floor. She has quite a few things that she's going to be wanting to share during the debate.
The turnout was quite high in the special election. I mean, do you attribute it to the high-profile nature of the seat with the split, to national politics, maybe a mix of both? I'm curious if you have thoughts.
We did have record turnout, you know, on both sides for a special election, much higher than we would have expected. I think that is because people were engaged a little bit more because of everything that has gone on here in the state of Minnesota. You know, a tie, and then an open seat, and then thrown away ballots, and now an election, and then the governor prematurely called. That's we had to call it when it was supposed to have been called. I think it brought more attention during that time.
Don't remind me of that time.
Did you see how I just encapsulated that very quickly? Just that, yes.
That was smart brevity.
Thank you. You're welcome. Always happy to give you sound bites if I can. Anyway, thanks for being with us. We need to get back up.
Thank you.
So thank you.